Since the time immemorial, Palestine had remained a stone that stumbled humanity. Every time craving eyes were set on it, blood filled the thirsty desert. From the time of the Exodus, the tiny land along the sea witnessed the sad finale of men. Past century was no exception. In the wake of the 20th century, in other words at the dusk of the colonialism, Palestine was controlled by Britain, who realized after killing and looting the entire world that the colonies had no more wealth and staying in them would be expensive. The fall of Jerusalem had scattered Jews around the world. Wherever they lived, they all kept dreaming of the lost home. Britain decided to bring this dream true. In the back of their minds they fantasized an opportunity to wash their thieving, killing and evil hands clean. However, in their dreams the Jews and Arabs were holding arms and walking side by side along the wall of the fallen might. They couldn't be more wrong. The Arabs didn't like the idea of sharing Palestine with the men that wrestle with God. Their hatred was galvanized by the mass Jewish immigration to the region, courtesy to the then mounting anti-Jew sentiment in Germany. They feared a neo-exodus. The sound of the falling walls of Jericho shuddered their ears. Ideas of peace disappeared like a line drawn on water. All the efforts from Britain broke down and the shadow of doom loomed over Palestine once again. Though the riot took place in 1929, the signs of the arriving catastrophe became more visible day by day. And around mid-1928 the battle horn sounded for the first time. War is found by those that seek it. The insects that rots humanity went to work. Haj Amin al-Husseini, the Mufti of Jerusalem, architected and spread a hate propaganda in leaflets among Arabs in Palestine and throughout the Arab world for catalyzing the Islamic sentiment. They condemned the Jews, stating they were planning to take over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It further articulated that the government would be responsible for any consequences of any measures which the Muslims may adopt for the purpose of defending the holy place. The Muslim Supreme Council backed this falsehood by a memorandum which clamored the Jews for stopping their hostile actions, which will naturally engender a parallel action in the whole Muslim world, the responsibility for which will rest with the Jews. Shah Commission stated that these leaflets would have been considered as provocative in the sane world. Neither Brits nor their motives were of importance to the Arabs anymore. They slurred over the British invasion. Now they have a new enemy. A new anger to vent, epicenter of which is the Jews and end of which would inevitably be their own destruction. But they don't care. They're hurt. They won't stop without hurting back, even if that means their own death. That is what hostility is. Blinded by hatred and incited by false propaganda, Islamic believers began taking things into their own hands. They discovered new ways to show their discontent to Jews, which was already explicit. Jews were stoned at their worship. The Grand Mufti went so far as to organize a construction above the wall so the Islamic believers could use this as an excuse for driving mules and throwing mud on the Jews in their prayer. Following these arrogant demonstrations, Zionists, a Jewish group, demanded more power over the wall and even asked for its rebuild. This demand drove the Arabs crazy. On Thursday, August 15, several hundred Jews marched to the Western Wall shouting, "The wall is ours," raised the Jewish national flag and sang Hatikvah. The Jewish men knew how to project power, but what they didn't know is the extent that the Arabs would go to show theirs. A rumor was spread that the procession attacked local residents and cursed the name of the Prophet Muhammad. The men that sought evil finally found it. They did manage to drive Islamists crazy by selling them a dummy, and those that were foolish enough to buy it waited for an opportunity. Since the Jews had notified the authorities of the march in advance, they were provided with a heavy police escort in a bid to prevent any incidents. So the Arabs were disappointed and Jews relieved, but there was a tide raising that no police force could stop. On Friday, August 16, after a sermon, a demonstration organized by the Supreme Muslim Council marched to the wall. The acting High Commissioner summoned the Mufti and informed him that he wasn't informed of such a demonstration being held at the Wailing Wall, and that it would be a terrible shock to the Jews who regarded the wall as a place of special sanctity to them. At the wall, the Muslims burnt Jewish prayer books, liturgical fixtures, and notes of supplication left in the wall's cracks, and the beadle was injured. The demonstration spread to the Jewish commercial area of town. The Muslims ignited their religious sentiment. Inflammatory articles calculated to cause disorder appeared in the Arab media, and one flyer signed by the Committee of the Holy Warriors in Palestine stated that the Jews had violated the honor of Islam, and declared, "Hearts are in tumult because of these barbaric deeds." On top of the rage, the people began to break out in shouts of war, jihad, rebellion. O Arab nation, the eyes of your brothers in Palestine are upon you, and they awaken your religious feelings and national zealotry to rise up against the enemy who violated the honor of Islam and raped the women and murdered widows and babies. The extremists victimized themselves so that worse might happen to the opponent. Cries for war echoed in the mounds. Any man could have foreseen the disaster that was closing in, but the Brits did not. The next Friday, August 23, thousands of Arab villagers streamed into Jerusalem from the surrounding countryside to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, many armed with sticks and knives. The gathering was caused by rumors that the Zionists were going to march to the Temple Mount and declare their claim. Around 11 o'clock, gunshots were heard on the Temple Mount. Islamists started crowding together in different streets. An abyss with no end stared at them. Upon hearing about the aggressive crowds, British officials smelled trouble. Fearing the uncontainable outbreak, they telephoned the Mufti to come and calm a mob that had gathered under his window near the Damascus Gate, but his presence had the opposite effect. Only a sane word could calm the enraged ocean. None in the Palestine were sane anymore. They all drank from the same spring of madness. Clouds of imminent disaster shadowed the old city. The shore report described the excited Arab crowds, and that it was clear beyond all doubt that these crowds were bent on mischief if not on murder. The mobs got bigger. The streets trembled in their shouts. Last drop of hope disappeared. Another bloody chapter in the book of the cursed commenced. By noon the Arabs began the massacre of the Jews.